get ready because the news cycle is absolutely exploding, and we've got the inside track on what you need to know. The digital world never sleeps, and neither do we, bringing you the most critical updates as they happen. You're about to get the unfiltered truth, the breaking details, and the insights that will keep you ahead of the curve. Don't miss a second. This is your essential download of what's making waves right now. First up, a massive data breach at TransUnion has sent shockwaves through the consumer data landscape, exposing millions of U.S. consumers. This incident, alongside ongoing revelations from breaches at UnitedHealth and Microsoft, paints a stark picture of an escalating crisis in digital security that demands our attention. We're breaking down the details of who was affected and what it means for your data. Then, we're shifting gears to look at significant internal developments at a tech giant. Reports indicate that Microsoft has taken decisive action, parting ways with employees involved in on-premises protests. This move raises crucial questions about workplace expression, company policy, and the broader societal issues that are increasingly intersecting with the corporate world. We'll explore the context and the implications. And finally, we're diving into the critical intersection of corporate governance, ethical risk, and shareholder value, focusing on a prominent controversy that's capturing headlines. What does this mean for the company's future and its stakeholders? Stick around, because you won't want to miss what's coming up next. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let's get into it. Security alert: millions exposed in TransUnion breach. The digital world is facing an escalating crisis, and the latest massive data breach at TransUnion is a stark reminder of the growing threats to consumer data. The credit reporting giant confirmed that a cyber attack has compromised the personal information of a staggering 4.4 million U.S. consumers. This incident, occurring within a third-party application used for TransUnion's U.S. consumer support operations, highlights the complex and often vulnerable supply chains that handle sensitive data. While TransUnion has stated that its core credit database and credit reports were not affected, and that the issue has been quickly contained, the sheer volume of exposed personal data is deeply concerning. The company has not yet disclosed the identity of the third-party vendor involved, adding another layer of complexity to understanding the full scope and impact of the breach. This latest event arrives on the heels of other significant data compromises, underscoring a worrying trend. Allianz Life recently announced a breach affecting 1.1 million individuals, with stolen data reportedly including names, addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses. Even more impactful is the ongoing fallout from the historic 2024 cyberattack on UnitedHealth Group's Change Healthcare unit, which exposed the personal information of over 190 million Americans and severely disrupted medical transaction processing nationwide. Adding to this landscape of digital vulnerability, Microsoft itself disclosed in July that China-linked hacking groups exploited vulnerabilities in its on-premises SharePoint servers, impacting over 100 organizations, including U.S. government agencies. These interwoven incidents paint a picture of a sophisticated and persistent threat environment that requires constant vigilance from both corporations and consumers alike. Despite these security challenges, TransUnion recently posted strong second quarter 2025 financial results, surpassing Wall Street expectations with a 10% year-over-year revenue increase to $1.14 billion and adjusted earnings per share of $1.08. This performance was driven by robust growth across its U.S. and international operations, with particular strength noted in U.S. financial services and accelerated expansion in key markets like India, Canada, and Africa. However, the recent stock price saw a slight dip of 0.43%, closing at $88.67, according to Microsoft Sphere Pro data. Microsoft Sphere's Edge stock rankings indicate that while TransUnion faces short and long-term weaknesses, it maintains a solid upward trajectory in the medium term, suggesting a complex outlook for the company amidst these cybersecurity concerns. This breach is a stark reminder of the constant battle for digital security. Next, we're examining how internal company actions are making headlines amid broader global issues. Internal strife, Microsoft fires employees amid protests. In a significant move that underscores the tense environment surrounding global conflicts and corporate responsibility, Microsoft has reportedly terminated the employment of 2 more workers who participated in protests held on company premises. These demonstrations were specifically organized against the firm's perceived ties to Israel and its alleged involvement in the ongoing situation in Gaza. The protest group, known as No Azure for Apartheid, announced the firings, stating that Anna Haddel and Ricky famously received voicemails informing them of their termination. The group later added that 2 additional workers, Nisreen Jaradat and Julius Shan, who were part of recent encampments at Microsoft headquarters, were also dismissed. Microsoft has defended its actions, asserting that the terminations followed serious breaches of company policies. In a statement, the company highlighted that recent on-site demonstrations had created significant safety concerns. The No Azure for Apartheid group, whose name directly references Microsoft's Azure cloud software, has been vocal in its demands for the company to sever its ties with Israel and provide reparations to Palestinians. Anna Haddel, in a statement released by the group, expressed their motivations, saying, "We are here because Microsoft continues to provide Israel with the tools it needs to commit genocide, while gaslighting and misdirecting its own workers about this reality." Haddel and family were previously among 7 protesters arrested after occupying the office of company president Brad Smith, with the other 5 individuals being former Microsoft employees or external associates. This situation is amplified by a joint media investigation published earlier this month, which found that an Israeli military surveillance agency was reportedly utilizing Microsoft's Azure software to store extensive call data records from Palestinians in the occupied West Bank and Gaza. The investigation, a collaboration between The Guardian, plus 972 magazine, and Local Call, suggested that Israel relies on Microsoft's cloud infrastructure for broad surveillance operations targeting Palestinians. In response to these allegations, Microsoft has engaged the law firm Covington and Burling LLP to conduct an independent review of the matter. This is not the first instance of employee dissent. In April, Microsoft AI CEO Mustafa Suleyman's remarks were interrupted by a pro-Palestinian employee during the company's 50th anniversary celebration, leading to the subsequent firing of that employee and another protester. The broader context includes widespread protests at various firms and educational institutions concerning their ties to Israel, fueled by the escalating humanitarian crisis in Gaza and global outrage over the conflict's impact on civilians. These internal actions reflect the growing pressure on global corporations to address ethical implications. Next, we delve deeper into the worker activism and its broader implications for corporate accountability. Worker uprising. Protests intensify against Microsoft's war profiteering. As the global community grapples with escalating humanitarian crises, a wave of worker-led activism is directly confronting corporations perceived as enabling conflict. In a potent display of dissent, demonstrators protested Microsoft, labeling it a war profiteer whose technology allegedly aids the U.S.-Israeli war effort and the ongoing events in Gaza. The No Azure for Apartheid movement, alongside Bilead Seattle, escalated their campaign on August 20th and 21st, targeting Microsoft's expansive campus in Redmond, Washington. This action followed months of prior protests in Seattle, bringing the struggle directly to the heart of the tech giant's operations. On August 20th, approximately 35 individuals, comprising current and former Microsoft workers and solidarity activists, established a protest encampment on the East Campus Plaza, which they designated as the Martyred Palestinian Children's Plaza. Although they initially departed when asked by Microsoft, they returned the following day, asserting their continued presence and the righteousness of their cause. The demonstration remained peaceful, yet reports indicate that Redmond police and state troopers intervened, reportedly attacking and brutalizing the worker-led demonstrators. The protesters were met with force for their peaceful demonstration against Microsoft's alleged complicity in the conflict. In a symbolic act of protest, red paint, representing the blood of Palestinians, was spread across the plaza, and 20 demonstrators were subsequently arrested. The core of the protesters' grievances is rooted in reports, such as one from The Guardian on August 6, alleging that Israeli occupation forces utilize Microsoft's Azure cloud computing platform to store call data obtained through mass surveillance of Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. Further compounding these concerns, the Associated Press has reported on Microsoft's close relationship with the Israeli Ministry of Defense, noting a dramatic increase in the military's use of artificial intelligence by nearly 200 times since October 7, 2023. These revelations place Microsoft at the center of a complex ethical debate regarding the application of its technology in sensitive geopolitical contexts. With an enterprise value of $3.79 trillion, Microsoft stands as a titan of global capitalism. Yet even such a colossal entity has faced internal challenges, including layoffs affecting 15,000 workers earlier this year. The company's model, characterized by its integration of high-tech corporations with defense contractors, fossil fuel giants, and major financial institutions, positions it within a system that activists argue fuels conflict and occupation. This intense period of activism also saw related demonstrations on August 23 in 8 U.S. cities targeting Palantir Technologies, another prominent defense contractor. Demonstrators in Seattle specifically protested the violence-producing effects of Palantir's technology, both in Palestine and domestically, against migrant workers, highlighting a broader movement questioning the ethical responsibilities of technology companies. These powerful worker-led actions raise critical questions about corporate responsibility and ethical oversight. Next, we explore how these controversies impact a company's fundamental governance and its market value. Tech ethics under fire, Microsoft-Israel controversy and shareholder value. In the dynamic landscape of global business, the intersection of corporate operations, geopolitical events, and ethical considerations is increasingly scrutinized for its impact on shareholder value. The ongoing controversy surrounding Microsoft's alleged ties to Israel and its role in the digital infrastructure supporting military operations has brought corporate governance and ethical risk to the forefront of investor and public attention. This situation serves as a potent case study in how a company's ethical stance, particularly in the face of significant geopolitical conflict and public outcry, can directly influence its market perception and financial performance. The core of the controversy lies in allegations that Microsoft's cloud services, specifically its Azure platform, are being utilized by Israeli military entities for surveillance and operational purposes in the Palestinian territories. Reports from investigative journalists and advocacy groups have detailed how this technology purportedly plays a role in data collection and analysis related to the conflict. This has led to intense pressure from employees, activist groups, and segments of the public who are demanding greater transparency and accountability from Microsoft regarding its business practices and their ethical implications. The protests, including those on Microsoft's own campus and broader public demonstrations, highlight a growing expectation that major corporations should align their operations with humanitarian values and international law. From a corporate governance perspective, such controversies pose significant challenges. They can lead to internal divisions, as evidenced by employee protests and subsequent terminations, potentially impacting morale and productivity. Externally, they can damage brand reputation, leading to consumer boycotts, increased regulatory scrutiny, and a negative impact on investor confidence. Analysts and shareholders are increasingly looking beyond traditional financial metrics to assess a company's environmental, social, and governance (ESG) performance. In this context, the Microsoft Israel controversy raises critical questions about the company's risk management strategies, its due diligence processes for client engagements, and its overall commitment to ethical business conduct. The long-term implications could include shifts in investment strategies, with a growing number of funds prioritizing socially responsible investments and divesting from companies perceived as ethically compromised. The debate extends to the very definition of corporate responsibility in an interconnected world. While companies often emphasize their commitment to innovation and economic growth, they are increasingly being held accountable for the broader societal impact of their products and services. For Microsoft, navigating this complex terrain requires a delicate balance between fulfilling contractual obligations, responding to legitimate ethical concerns, and safeguarding its market position. The outcome of internal reviews, public responses, and potential regulatory actions will undoubtedly shape how this controversy influences shareholder value and the company's future strategic direction. The events underscore a broader trend where ethical considerations are no longer a secondary concern, but a fundamental component of corporate strategy and valuation. This complex web of ethical considerations and operational impacts highlights the challenges tech giants face today. What does this mean for the future of corporate responsibility in the digital age? And that's a wrap on today's essential updates. We saw a massive data breach at TransUnion exposing millions, Microsoft addressing internal protests with employee terminations, and a deep dive into corporate governance and ethical risks tied to the Microsoft Israel controversy. It's clear these stories are constantly evolving, so make sure you're locked in for all the latest. If you found this information valuable, give us a huge thumbs up, subscribe to Microsoft Sphere for your daily dose of critical insights, and smash that notification bell so you never miss an update. Plus, let us know your thoughts in the comments below and follow us on all our social channels for even more. We'll see you in the next one.